Welcome back to another episode of the RockFit Files. Rocky Snyder. And as we continue with this season, we're talking to the contributing authors of the book, The Successful Body. If you would like a copy of The Successful Body, of course, you can go to your major booksellers or your local ones and get a copy. But if you're looking for one on the sly, all you have to do is follow us on Instagram, Rocky_Snyder. And each week when the episode airs, I will pick a new follower from Instagram, get your address, and send you a copy on the way. So this week, we're talking to James Rizzo. Fitness Scientist LLC is the name of his business, and he's headquartered out of New York, Manhattan to speak of. And he's been through quite a few things with COVID, and you know, we have a very similar upbringing in a way where we were brought to a gym setting or to a garage with a friend in our teenage years and got to feel the passion and the change within us build up through doing some strength training and some different movements. So without further ado, I want to bring James on. We're going to talk all about fitness through COVID, beyond, and what he contributed to the successful body. So James, hey, welcome to the RockFit Files.
Thank you, Rocky. Pleasure to be here.
The pleasure is mine. You know, I loved talking to you before we started recording here, because one thing you expressed, and I think a lot of people do this, is that, you know, when we're young, we're kind of feeling awkward, maybe out of sorts, or not connected with our peers or other groups. And somebody brings us into a gym setting that wasn't something that was like on the top of our priority list, but we kind of went along with it thinking, what the heck, that might sound like a kind of good idea. And from the get-go, from the moment you touched the barbell, the dumbbell, you laid on a bench, or you did something in the gym setting, something clicked. And I know that happened to you and to me. Tell me a little bit about that for you personally.
Sure. I'm from Wilmington, Delaware, and I was 11 years old at the time. And, you know, like most kids, I was playing video games. You know, I was starting to get introduced into sports. But a friend from the neighborhood told me, you know, come on down, you know, my mother has this, universal gym set that we can work out. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to do. He's like, well, you know, I'll show you. You know, I've been doing it for a little while now. And then I remember the first time I, started exercising down in his basement. It was like instant gratification. You know, I felt like this is my hobby. Like, this is what's going to transform me, you know, physically, emotionally. And this is what's going to help me gain the confidence that I always yearned for. And that's, you know, ever since, it's been like brushing my teeth every day. I don't forget to do it. So, you know, I try to stay active every day.
Did that propel you into like pursuing knowledge through that field, or were you interested in other things through school years?
Well, of course, I used, sports obviously too, to help excel my physical attributes. But no, I actually got my first certification when I was 16 years old. And,
really? That's pretty young. Normally, you don't hear about people doing that until they've got a high school diploma, or they're 18 or something.
Yeah, no, I was 16, and I got it was called IFPA, International Fitness Personal Trainers Association. And no, it's just like I was so, infatuated by it. Like, I wanted to learn more. I knew just exercising myself wasn't going to give me the knowledge to help myself to avoid injury and all that. So I really wanted to, be a sponge and learn as much as I could about exercising in general after the way it made me feel. So yeah, that's when I got my first certification.
Fantastic.
I was still working out at the YMCA. I remember my first gym membership was the YMCA. I was so young, I couldn't even drive there. I had to get dropped off by my parent or a grandfather. So, that's how young I started, to exercise. So,
and where did that lead you?
It led me to, just graduating from gym to gym based on my strength, and how advanced I became. And, I realized after college, it wasn't going to, my parents wanted to see me in corporate America. The economy wasn't great in 2002. So, it was one of the worst economies, since the Great Depression. So I realized, listen, this isn't for me. There's no opportunities. I don't want to really, work at a 9-to-5 job, working staring at a desk, in an office chair and, a computer. So, I moved to Maywood, New Jersey, and I've moved with a guy who I thought was my friend. He was like a gym buddy. And it turned out in the long run, he was keeping the checks that I wrote to give the landlord to, wrote him checks to give the landlord, and he was keeping them. And I got evicted, and I actually was homeless for about a month and a half.
Wow.
Yeah. So, taught me not to trust people for a long time, so I became a little bit more guarded. And the first job I got when I came to New York, I lived in Jersey, but I came to New York, was Equinox. And,
Ah.
the guy that helped hire me, we're like best friends today. And we both stay in contact. We both work out together. We both have that in common. So, it really started out from a hobby to a passion that helped me, help others achieve the same results that I wanted to achieve.
Yeah, what a blessing though. What a gift to your own life. And I can relate because I had no idea the direction in my life going through school and through college and
Mhm.
even after graduating. I just was like, what do I want to do? You tell somebody what your major was and they instantly think you want to be a teacher or something, and they start putting you in these positions. And all along I was finding passion in movement,
Sure.
exercise, strength training, and so on. Little did I know this is 10 years before your experience there. So 92, when the economy wasn't that great either. It seems to come around in cycles. But I came out to California, and lo and behold, there was a health club out here that was hiring within the year that I had moved here. And sure enough, personal training just began. I was the first personal trainer in the facility there, one of them at least. And I had no idea you could actually make a career out of doing what it was that you were so passionate about. So, what's that been like, following this kind of career path of yours and following your passion simultaneously?
Oh, it's been a blessing because I mean, each gym that I've worked at, it's helped me gain the clientele that I still have today. Since I'm an independent trainer now and I have my own LLC, all these gyms, I've had clients, retain them from working at them. And I've worked at so many different health clubs: Bally Total Fitness, Equinox, Boom Fitness, David Barton Gym. These are just some of the chains that were really popular in the day. Um, so each one has taught me, different personality. Working with different personalities is, I think, something that it doesn't get old. Every day or something new, because you have to work with people and you have to develop their confidence and deal with some kind of limitations that they might occur. So you have to work around them. So every day is different, which I like. It never feels like it's repetitive. And I think that's what keeps me, really into it, and have a passion for helping people. You never feel like it's like the same ongoing process. It's always different, which is great.
Do you have specific demographics, types of clients that gravitate toward you, or do you have a passion for working with a specific population?
No, I would say I'm very diverse. I have clients from, just children to all the way, I would say 75, seniors. And, I'm just helping them, rehabilitate their knees or, help with arthritis. So, I love having such a broad spectrum of clientele. I think it's great because it makes you more of a well-rounded trainer.
Yeah, I imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that episode with a guy you thought was your friend who essentially was embezzling and made you homeless. Those are all experiences in our lives where we gain experience. I guess it's we learn from there, hopefully, and we move forward in the hopes that that
Yeah. Of
won't repeat itself, right? So I
course.
carrying that over into the fitness world, we have been through, just in the last 20 years, let's say, there has been so many fads and so many different approaches and methodologies out there that you almost get dizzy thinking about them. Every time you open up a magazine, some fitness or movement health, men's health, women's health magazine, there's always something new coming out. And then for me personally, there's a few of those things I did in my early years that I just kind of go, oh my gosh, I can't even believe I did that. It's just so it's
Yeah.
almost like stupid human tricks. Like, why would I want somebody to do this or that? I guess I'm asking for kind of a confession in a way. Like, do you have any of those kind of like moments in the past going, I can't believe I started doing this, and you've grown from there?
Well, when in college, I did like Billy Blank's Tybo and all that stuff. And it was like I just wanted to do something where, listen, I'm in college. I know I'm going to be drinking beer. I got to do something to keep the weight off. But I also worked out in the gyms there because I also played football. And so I really was always very driven personally. So I never really lacked the ability to want to work out by myself. I didn't really feel like I needed a partner, even though I worked out with some gym partners, in college. And but I would think, just I always tried to like stay in touch with the newest fad, but I really didn't let it, I guess, consume me. You know what I mean? I would always go back to the traditional bodybuilding, old school weightlifting with free weights. That's what I always gravitated towards.
And it remains that way today.
Yeah, it remains that way today.
Right.
I feel like you don't need to, make it so fancy. Whatever works for you, you should stick with what works, right? So if it's not broken, there's no reason to fix it.
Beautiful. So
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about the successful body. You had a chapter in there, contributing author to it. Tell me a little bit about, like, for the listening audience, what was it that you wrote about? What were the main takeaways that you would like the reader to get?
Oh, the main takeaways I wanted the reader to get was to realize it's not about just physical fitness. The total package is what the name of the chapter I wrote about. And what that means, it's your physical exterior, it's your internal self, your emotions, your mind, your spiritual. I come from a Catholic heritage, so I wanted people to realize, it's not just, your physical attributes that make up who you are. It's a total package. And I wanted people to realize how I think. And I think a lot of my clients, when they read the chapter, I sent them books and I sent my family books. They said, this really does sound like the way you would talk. And it's great because we get a little bit more of an inside sense of, who you are. So they really appreciated that.
So how do you cultivate success within the clients that you see?
Well, number one, their appreciation. I think the best thing that keeps me going and wanting to continue, this journey with them is just their appreciation of what they get from our training together. They see obviously physical results, but they also feel, they're gaining, a sense of empowerment. And that's such a powerful word because think about how hesitant someone is when they first, you know, reach out. Oh, I got your number from so and so. You think we maybe can, set up a consultation? You can just hear it in their voice. They're so intimidated, especially if they haven't worked with a trainer before. Most of them come from like, just walking or group fitness classes, or maybe I have another client who did like Canyon Ranch, you know, and these are things they're just, you can tell they're not ready to make that step for one-on-one training unless it was like a referral. Our business is highly referral. So, finally, a lot of the clients, that reached out to me that I trained today, it was always like a referral from someone else. Like, oh, I heard that, you did such great work. That person looks fabulous. That, my friend that you train, or, my mother, or, my aunt, can you set up a consultation? Can we do it? Can we start exercising? And I go through the whole process. I give them evaluation, and then, I tell them, it's a commitment, that's at least a minimum of 2 to 3 times a week. So I don't train anyone less than that. And, I think that's what I really feel the sense of, like, it's building rapport with that person. And then that, rapport builds a foundation to have a relationship that will last a lifetime. They can't live without it afterwards. And I feel like what I did was the same thing that happened to me. So I did my job because the way exercise made me feel, I made the same results and the same feelings happen to those people that I train, currently.
So there's 168 hours in a week.
Mhm.
And the clients that see you come in for an hour at a time, maybe 2 to 3 days a week. So, how is it that you encourage them toward a path of success when you're only dealing with 3 out of 168 hours? I mean, there's a lot of people that think that I'm going to go see James or another trainer, and he's or she is going to mold me into the person I need to be. And I'm going to put all the responsibility on that person's shoulders. And then when I'm done with my training in that hour, I'm going to go about my life. How do you shake their tree a little bit and let them realize that it's on them, it's not on you. You're just merely a guide, and,
Yeah.
and they have to take the journey.
Well, I think that at the beginning, the most important thing is to gain their trust, right? They have to trust you first, that the youth know what you're talking about. Because again, once they start, they're very skeptical. Depending on their age, they don't think that they can make that much of improvement. But when they see that difference, that's what eliminates all their, doubt. They start trusting you, and then the money that they're, investing in themselves, they don't want to throw that away, right? The longer they do it, then they realize then that's the takeaway. I have to continue living a healthy lifestyle for the remainder of our life. So that's how I want to portray it. I want people to realize that I can help you get you there, but you have to want to stay there. The hardest part is not to get there, it's to maintain what you have. And I always repeat myself. I try to drill that in their head.
Well, this has been a remarkable year, the
Mhm.
past, say, 12 months here. Not calendar year, but from the onset, you're in New York, I'm in California, and within, I think it was just a matter of hours that restrictions were laid down upon your business and mine. California was basically on St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, and I think New York was right along with us.
Yeah, I
Our
think we
world
got hit the
changed.
hardest in the beginning. We were like the epicenter. New York
Yes.
was, for the virus in the early stages.
So what was that like? Because your world changed instantly.
Oh, it was just like, what I was doing? I remember a client of mine were just, just feeding each other articles back and forth of like, how bad it's going to get. I was just like, I can't believe I'm reading this. I didn't think it was going to escalate to this, magnitude. And, he was saying, yeah, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. And I'm like, oh no, I thought this was just going to be like something that starts, we find a vaccine, or, it tapers off. You know what I mean? It's not going to impact us for now over a year. So I think it really has made a huge difference in the way we see the future.
But what about your business with your clients? How did you persevere? Because 30% of fitness centers and health clubs have folded permanently within
Mm.
the last year. And probably I would just conjecture that it might be another 10% that's going to fold within the next 12 months because they've just been holding on by fingernails and
Well, yeah,
restrictions still aren't lifted. So how are you still here?
I would say just because, I've made that much of an impact in their life, like they need to have that weekly routine, and even though that was impacted, they still, if they didn't do it and we didn't find, unique ways to keep it going, like virtually, then they wouldn't feel like that was part of their daily routine, their weekly routine. So, I came out and I told them, I was like, listen, why don't we try this virtually? And they're like, okay, let's give it a try. And to this day, now they're so happy. They're actually impressed that they've seen results, much better than they thought it was going to be. And working with such minimal resources, I've had people that they don't have any equipment. And, some people, they bought some stuff. But remember how bad it was where you couldn't even get fitness equipment online? It was like
Oh yeah.
all sold out. So
Yeah.
it was like not only that, it was like another obstacle that we couldn't even try to get our clients a hold of, like building a little personal gym within their apartments or their homes. So it was like another obstacle of just finding, oh, we got to get this equipment, but it's like it's on back order, or it's almost sold out. So there was a
Yeah.
lot of obstacles.
Behind me on one of the cable stations over there, there's two cans of vegetables. And we keep those up there just as a reminder. Those are kind of our trophy because
Yeah.
those were what we were teaching movement with a year ago online to a lot of people because of the fact they couldn't get anything. So we needed to be creative. What are you going to find around your house that
Yeah.
you can still show? And I think this has been a real blessing for many people. Granted, this has been horrific for the majority, and there's been loss of life and loss of income, loss of businesses, and so on. And I don't want to be the eternal optimist, but if we could find silver linings in this dark cloud of COVID, I think it was the ingenuity, the creativity, and the fortitude of individuals like yourself who
Yeah.
found ways through these obstacles, and you're coming out the other side. So James, I'm wondering, are the clubs in New York open again? Are you returning to your clients in the health
They
club
are.
setting, or are
Well,
you staying
I
online?
finished my second shot soon. May 3rd is my second shot. So in person, I have about 3 people in person right now. But the majority of they're waiting for me to be fully vaccinated to return some of these personal, apartment buildings, and that's going to happen, right after I'm fully vaccinated. So I'm not worried about that. Um,
Personal apartment buildings. So you mean like they have a health room
Yeah,
in the apartment?
they have a gym in the basement of a co-op building or a condo complex. And then, the people that don't have access to that, I train in these private fitness facilities,
Wow.
all in Manhattan.
So is looking off, I'm curious, your business model has changed, obviously, like a lot of others. Is it
Mhm.
going to stay like that? Are you going to continue doing virtual training with clients that don't feel like they want to do in-person training anymore? Or how does your business model altered, and what is it going to look like?
I think it's based on, personal preference, right? If the client feels more comfortable since they've been doing it now for a year virtually, that's fine. I can continue doing that with them. If they feel they just want to wait a little while longer, until restrictions get ease up a little bit more, that's fine. I'll be there ready when they want to come back in person too. And, I think it's just they know no matter what they choose, we can easily make do with what we have because we did it for over a year now. So it didn't impact their results. They still feel healthy and happy. And, my client's well being is the number one priority. So I'll make whatever it needs to work because that's why I want to be resilient. That's what we are. We're resilient. And that's coming from, our mindset. I think trainers who lasted through this and have prevailed, it's because they had that mindset that they don't give up no matter what. And just because we were faced with this obstacle of COVID, it was just, another challenge for us to overcome. But we
Yeah. Now,
never had a second thought of we couldn't do it. We just needed to find ways to make it work. And that's what we did.
that's actually really apropos. I mean, that's spot on because there was no time in our minds here that we couldn't do it. We just need to figure out how. And you're probably right. That's probably what separates those that have folded, or they just said, we just can't do this.
Mhm.
So not being the mind killer. So with going virtual, uh, that changes our geographic in a way. Like for the typical personal trainer, especially around New York, in some ways, you are just confined to a certain radius, like 3 to 5 mile radius, where the majority of your clients are going to be.
Yeah,
However, now with virtual training, you can be seeing,
absolutely.
your territory is just the language that you speak.
Yeah,
So
sky's the
has that
limit. That's
expanded
great.
for you?
It hasn't expanded as much, but it's made it way more convenient because like have clients that live in multiple homes. Sometimes they'll be in California, sometimes they'll be in Florida or New York. But the good thing is I can train them anywhere they find like a gym or they, if they have like equipment. So we can do it anywhere. So it's great. I had a couple of clients before COVID training when they were away on business. And it's funny that this happened because I always tried to get my clients who train, traveled on business to do virtual training. And
Yeah,
they never
forget about
said, they were like, no, I don't really feel like I want to try that. Like without you here, I won't know what to do. I was like, well, you can reach out to me through FaceTime. And it just never seemed appealing. But when they were forced to do it, it was either that or nothing. then they were more inclined to try it, which was great. So in a way, I felt like this was a blessing to help everyone or at least try online training. And now they see the results and the benefits from it. If they do, if they go away on business again or family vacations, think they already know that this would work.
Yeah.
So you see how this is like, there's a positive to every negative.
Yeah, we actually reached out to a whole bunch of clients that had moved away from the Santa Cruz area over the last few years, not just recently, but they were really sad to be leaving us, but they had to move and so on. We reached back out to them and checked in, see how they were doing, and then let them know that if you want to continue training with us, well, we have this service now. And sure enough, a couple clients said, "Oh my gosh, this is fantastic." So whether they're in Utah or Texas
Yeah.
or out of the country, it's worked out great. So our territory is, well, we do have a Spanish speaking trainer here. So as long as you can speak English or Spanish, that's a far reach
That's
compared
great.
to this 5 mile radius. Pretty nice.
Yeah. So it really opened up the spectrum for that.
Yeah. Now, so going back into the health clubs, what do you are health clubs now open? I
We're
think
open to
there's
about 33% capacity. Like
okay.
30, I think it's around 33 or close to that. And you have to check, you have to schedule in advance so they know how many people are booked for that certain slot, that time slot that you'll be there. So they do
Uh-huh.
make you like book in advance for like a one-on-one workout.
And that's working out well for you?
Well, I froze my membership at Equinox, so I'm not
Oh,
really doing that right now. But I did put a whole home gym in my home, so that's where I'm working out now. Just because I don't have to wear a mask. Because you have to. It's still required. You have to wear a mask whether you do training in gyms or group classes. So
certainly.
I was like, the intensity that I work out, I prefer not to wear a mask if I don't have to. So that's why I actually went and I installed an entire home gym.
So is the likelihood that you would be going back to the clubs if you've already
Yeah,
installed?
I'm gonna end up going back to the clubs for sure because it's like since I live outside the city, this being in the city, I kind of need that little bit of a home away from home. So it'll be a place that I go to for my downtime.
So you are one of those, I won't say typical is not the word, but there are quite a few personal trainers that live the lifestyle that you're living, meaning that you do one-on-one with people, you're traveling to homes and to different locations. That's got to be pretty demanding rather than just having one central location.
Yeah.
What is that like? Does that kind of wear on you, or are you good with that?
It definitely at the end of the day was definitely the tiring of the that's what got to me, the traveling back and forth. But it's in a small radius. So I call it a territory. My territory that I travel, it's not that big of, it's just like a square of Manhattan. It's the Upper East Side and the Midtown West. That's pretty much the only thing I was really working in that small area. So and public transportation is such a big part of New York that it's easy to get around through subway. So it's not as bad as you think. And I think that makes the day go by faster because you're not in one central location. You're actually in various gyms. So that's one good thing about it. So you're always meeting other people, you're meeting other trainers and more potential clients because they all live in different buildings. So I think it's a better way to, network being in various places.
Yeah, we were fortunate enough in this climate that we are here in the Central Coast, California, where during the winter months we had to deal with rain, but not with bitter cold or snow.
Mhm.
How did you get through the winter? Out of curiosity, I mean, obviously there was indoor training and online, but were you going outside for
No,
training?
not this past winter. Remember, it was pretty bad. So with the gyms I don't even think they weren't even open that much yet. So I mean, I'm worried about next winter, if it's going to be bad, then obviously getting back into the routine, of traveling back and forth. But I
And
think it's going to be just to have those gyms back open is going to be a blessing. It'll feel like there's a sense of normalcy, going back. The world's getting better. The more people are getting vaccinated, so I'm actually happy for it to return back to normal.
yeah, I imagine. I think everybody can express the same sentiments with the gyms, though. are all of them reopening, the ones that you've dealt with, or have some closed permanently?
Well, the ones that I've worked in, they're still open. And
Yeah.
I don't think large chains like Equinox are going to close because, I mean, they've got hit hard. And I know a lot of people froze their memberships because I know a lot of clients who were members of that same gym too. Even though they work out with me, they still go there for, like cardio, or they go there for Pilates classes, so they froze their membership too until they feel safe to go back. So a lot of those gyms got hit hard, but the ones that I still go to, they're open. They're just following the guidelines and minimum capacity.
So, what kind of advice would you give fitness professionals who are, just eking out an existence right now, or that are interested in getting into a career in fitness? Are there some things that you could recommend?
I would definitely recommend getting certified, learning as much as you can, but also personal experience. Because before I even got certified, when I was 16 years old, I based on most of my knowledge through, you know, working out in gyms and working out and watching people and asking a bunch of questions because I wanted to be a human sponge. I wanted to learn as much as I could about the business and exercising. So I didn't feel like I didn't know what to do because the first thing you don't want to do is get injured, right? You don't want to injure yourself, and so you want to learn as much as you can, and then that's what I learned from other people. So I would say personal experience is number one, and then get the knowledge for being certified number two.
Yeah, well, definitely. Now, continuing on with your education, because it's a young science, and you are the fitness scientist. Where do you receive most of your education these days?
Well, these days I just keep, trying to learn from personal experience. I try to invent a lot of exercises, so I'm very creative in that sense. So I always trying to use my own workouts to create new and effective ways to train others. But I don't really, I just stay up with my, certification, but I don't really try to gain anything else because I've had already three certifications, and then I'm also pre and postnatal certified as well.
Well, with most organizations that grant continuing education, it's done through uh, conferences and
Yeah,
seminars and
you're
so
talking
on.
about CECs, yeah.
Yes, exactly. So, how do you get your CECs these days? Because most of the conferences aren't in person. I granted there's virtual ones, but are there
Mhm.
places that you like to go? Some favorites of yours?
No, I just, I used to go to a lot of different places in Jersey or Atlantic City to some of the conferences to gain more, um, you know, knowledge on like strength training and anatomy and stuff like that. But yeah, I haven't gone in a little while now. So, but I
Yeah.
like to, I read a lot. I read a lot of articles and a lot of fitness magazines. But like I said, most of the time I try to develop personal experience.
Right on. All right. And what are you looking to just moving into this coming year? Are there some specific experiences that you're looking to attain, whether it's in competitive events and venues, or whether it's climbing the biggest mountain around, or what kind of experiences are we talking about?
Oh, well, my biggest goal is just to build my business back to what it was, and to see more of my clients in person, and get future clients, and I just wanted to build my business bigger than it was before. Because right before COVID, I was doing really well, and I took a little bit of a hit, but I think I made out pretty well because I was very resilient, and the virtual training was. Really, I was very blessed to have my clients stay loyal to me and want to continue training with me. So, I just want to continue to grow my business and, develop myself as a trainer. So you can never learn enough. You can always better yourself. So you can always learn something new. So every day, try to learn something new.
Totally agreed. So let's just say somebody wants to start some training with you, and whether they live in the Manhattan area, New Jersey area, or outside of that, and are willing to do it virtually, what are some of the ways they can get a hold of you? How do they learn more about you and your background?
Oh, well, they can get a hold of me through my website. I have a consultation form, or, a potential client, evaluation form. They can fill that out, and then it's emailed right to my website, my Gmail. And so they can find me on fitnessscientist.com or jamesrizzo.net. Those are both the same website. And, they can always learn more about what I specialize. And, there's testimonials on my website as well.
Beautiful. Well, I'll make sure that all of that information is in the description below the podcast, as well as on the YouTube channel, so that people can get a hold of you. And for the listening audience, a reminder that if you want to get a copy of The Successful Body, where James has written a chapter, and just follow us on Instagram, Rocky_Snyder, and we'll draw a name this week, and the lucky winner will get a copy sent to them. So, James, this has been great. I really appreciate your time, taking a little bit of time out of your day.
You interviewing me, Rocky. I appreciate your time too.
Yeah, definitely. We'll hope that sometime down the road, that when things open up and travel occurs once more, that maybe I'll see you at some conference or training facility.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you, Rocky.
Well, that's another episode of the RockFit Files. I just want to thank James Rizzo for coming on and joining me for a little conversation about personal training through COVID. Remember, if you want a copy of The Successful Body, go to any major bookseller, but you can also get one by following us on Instagram, Rocky_Snyder. Until next week, have yourself a great time.